Monday. Bell to bell, we were absolutely strong throughout the session. Then you get to Tuesday, and we have that harsh sell-off in the final hour or so, specifically on the Nasdaq, but we had that sharp sell-off. Wednesday, the dislocation of what was really going on in the marketplace and the pounding of the Nasdaq once again. Now, we're talking about a Nasdaq that was over 14,000 not too many days ago, that's now trading below 12,500 or in that range. It's moving so much that I'll just say it's within that range. Semiconductors, technology, biotech, all of those were getting hit. As a matter of fact, Wednesday, biotech was down, and I should have mentioned this, but that was a day where biotech was down about 4.5%, almost 5%. So that was a pretty extraordinary thing to see as well. Yesterday, really interesting day. Starts off kind of calm. Nasdaq, of course, gets a pretty big sell-off early on, gets a bit of a rally back, but then by midday, that's when things really seem to change. And a lot of that having to do, at least everybody seems to be giving the credit for the sell-off to Mr. Powell and some of the commentary there. And the Dow, within 20 minutes of some of that commentary, Dow's down 450 points. The Nasdaq was down 320 points. We really didn't do much off of that. As a matter of fact, it was choppy all the way into the final bell. We finished with the Dow down about 350 points, call it 1%. Nasdaq down 2%, 275 points. The SMH, once again, big portion of that Nasdaq, that was down significantly, about 4.5%. They were just pounding high-end and PE type stocks as well. Okta, CrowdStrike, Fastly, Datadog, DocuSign. You go through the list. That seems to be what everybody is attacking. And a lot of commentary out there is, are they going after ARK and some of those high-flying investments? Whatever the case, those are the names, those high PE or no PE names that we talk about here and there. And we were talking about this on Wednesday on the halftime report. I will be on the halftime report today. So I'll just see you in not too long, an hour and a half or so. I'll see you on the halftime report with Scott Wapner and the gang. And we'll be talking about exactly this same topic, I'm sure, because it has been a story about selling those high multiple, triple digit, quadruple digit, or no PE. And that's when you know things are bad, or when people start using the expression, well, what's the price to sales? Are you kidding me? I mean, that opens up to me that that's a whole different way of suddenly trying to analyze these stocks. So that's what we're seeing. And we're seeing it again today. We're seeing it with Ring. We're seeing it with Netflix, Okta, Tesla, Peloton, Baidu, Palantir. All those names continue to be in that category. By the way, yesterday, we not only had that volatility, I actually am looking at volatility and the volatility index and thinking it's a little bit lower than it really should be, given what we are seeing in the movements in the market, especially if you talk about intraday. 26 to 28, give or take, was sort of the range. We closed, yes, just a little bit above 28 yesterday. We're still hanging around 28 today. But how about this? The volume yesterday, 54.8 million contracts trading yesterday. Yes, Apple traded 2 million of that. Tesla traded 1.5 million of that. Palantir traded 1.3 million of that. Then you got Neo and GameStop after that. They were not in the millions. But it gives you a sense of what I bring up each and every day, and I've been doing this since we started the take, and we're pushing a year. I got to tell you, it's absolutely extraordinary to see the volumes that we have been seeing. We started off a little bit slower this week, and then we've just accelerated, and that's a huge number. That is a massive number. When you start getting over 50 million contracts, and we were at 54.8, that is a absolute incredible number. It's why you need to have the understanding of the derivatives markets, because this is where people have found a way to use the leverage and the opportunity and control risk. But you've got to have the understanding to be able to do that. As I always say, knowledge is king. Get it from the Market Rebellion team. Best educators in the business. So, as we get into today, before the markets open, things were looking relatively calm. We're up about 50 points on the Dow. We're up about 30 points on the Nasdaq. It seems like a ho-hum kind of a start. Then you get into a little bit closer. You're up about 200 points on the Dow, up about 50 points on the Nasdaq. You get to the open and suddenly things look fantastic. We're up 300 points on the Dow. We're up 115 points on the Nasdaq. And you're saying, you know what, maybe this is the bounce. By the time we got to 9 o'clock, we were already in negative territory on the Nasdaq. It was down about 70. We had about up 50 on the Dow at that time. It has been all over the map. I'll give you an absolute update because it doesn't matter if I looked at it 2 minutes ago. It's completely changed, which it has. I'm taking a glance as we speak. Nasdaq, it's down 180. Look over at the Dow, it's up about 55 points. And the Dow's been up and down. And I'll tell you what, Chevron and the energy space has definitely been the source of a lot of strength in the markets. They've actually been the leadership role to the upside, but the weakness and the pull that you're getting from technology and from specifically a lot of these high flyers, that is really what's pulling on the markets. But you take a look at today with crude up trading 65, 66, really an impressive run that we've been talking about now for multiple months since November. We started talking about it. It's all this activity in energy names and buying. Some of it shorter term, some of it much longer term. But Apache, Marathon, Conoco, Chevron, all those names started off today really strong. Materials was starting to bounce back. That's given back a little bit. Financial started off decent. They've given back a little bit. But I'll tell you what, you look at that list and it's cruise ships today. They're floundering around a little bit, not a lot of that having to do with Norwegian. Here's what we got. I got to run because I'm looking at the clock. I apologize. I've already been too long. W&T, we talked about energy. Here's one right there. W&T Offshore. Ironically, it's WTI as the symbol. But just understand, the stock is W&T Offshore, independent oil and gas. Stock was trading 434. We've had this name before, by the way, and I was already in it. A buyer of 5,600 of the March 5 calls. I unfortunately trimmed some today just before this hit. So now I got to reevaluate, and I haven't had a chance to do that yet. But they were paying between 10 and 30 cents. Risk reward, if you understand what I'm talking about there, that isn't so bad. And the stock, as I said, 5,600 of the March 5s. Gives you a little bit of time, not a lot of time, but a little bit of time for these to play out. So XLV, I hate doing ETFs. Hate it. I love giving you individual names. I've always liked to trade individual names. ETFs, I'd rather just select what I think is going to move like the ETF. In this particular case, I'm using the ETF because it's the XLV Healthcare ETF. Trading 110.75. We had a buyer of 6,700 now. They're expecting some movement here, up and down, but potentially, obviously, looking more to the upside. They're buying June, so they're buying time. That's why I said what I just said. The June 122 calls for about 95 cents. And again, 6,700 of those were being purchased today. Stock at the time, or the ETF at the time, trading about 110.75. Folks, I got to tell you something. The wild ride continues, and I'm sure it'll continue into the close. The implied volatilities in the VIX right now, I think, is actually a little bit low given the backdrop of what we are seeing in intraday moves and specifically what we have been seeing the up and down already today. Just take a look at the Nasdaq and break it down into 10-minute pieces and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This is a very volatile market, so understand that. It can be very frustrating or very rewarding in a hurry. Both can happen often. Folks, have a great day of trading. I'll see you at noon. You'll also see me today later on at 5 o'clock Eastern time for the Fast Money Show with only a half hour tonight, but we'll see you there as well. And after that, we've got our Market Rebellion cocktail hour as well. So looking forward to a really busy afternoon. Folks, have a great day of trading.